What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody's having a good holiday season. Um, I've been gone for a little over a week now, and I think that, it was about time for me to make a video again after, the kind of things that I've been experiencing this past week. Just kind of talking about it. Well, before I get going, I think that stuff like this is important for reasons that I'm going to talk about later. But I hope that you can get some benefit from this video. And if you do get benefit from this video, you watch it, you're not subscribed, subscribe, because I hope that this is valuable. I have a rough relationship with coming home for the holidays, especially around Christmas time and New Year's. Since I've been in college, especially a little bit before then, but since I've been in college, especially, the tension between my mother and father in the house is really bad around the holidays, and it really shows because there are like stark differences between how things used to be before the tension arose and then how things are now, and it's felt in the house. And when I come back and I feel that and I sit in it again, it's like this just negative energy is just in the house, along with the tension that's already there. Because not only is that, the regular tension, but it's the realization and awareness that this is not how it used to be. And that of all the times for there to be tension, it should be, the time where, people are, coming together for the holidays. On top of that, for some other reasons, it was kind of like my family was like split into little parts. Excuse me. It's like, this group is over here doing their thing. This group's over here doing their thing. And it felt fragmented. And it used to not be that way. And, I think partially because I know the experiences that can come with having a family that is like split. My dad was in the military. He would be, out doing whatever, or I would be moving around a lot. He would go deploy or he would be stationed somewhere else, and me and my mom would be in North Carolina. That I know what that effect is like, and that's produced a like deep regard for family. I care about family. It's important to me. And over the holidays, I kind of have a problem coming back and it being in my face, like just how off things are. And there's like a level of powerlessness as to, what I can actually do about it. So I made me feel sad. I made me feel very sad. It's the kind of thing that like I try to put a brave face on for, because at the end of the day, it is the holidays and people are trying to, be happy, be merry and whatnot. But it just wasn't, it hit me hard this time. Like I had no kind of Christmas spirit, I guess you could say. Sounds kind of like, corny saying it out loud, especially since my mom's been watching a lot of those like corny Christmas movies and whatnot, but, or at least they've been like on in the background, but I just wasn't here. I felt kind of sad, kind of detached. And on top of that, with some other things that I was kind of dealing with and like, talking about with people and with myself, I felt very guilty about my actions in my past relationship again. Not in the sense where it's like, it was more so in the sense where I felt like I had really tried to do the right thing. But just based off where I was at in the year and just based off like bad decisions I made, like it didn't work out. And a lot of it, I feel like, was caused by me. And it was like I was really trying, but it still didn't work out. And I still ended up, hurting somebody and making mistakes. Like it was just flawed. And I felt guilty about that too. And when you combine those two things together, what I got was a feeling, an overall feeling of general like hopelessness. Like I come from what is now like a split kind of dysfunctional sort of family. And when I tried to, have a better relationship with somebody, it didn't go very well. It's just like I came from something that wasn't what I wanted it to be. I was in something that I did, and it was not what I wanted it to be. So how could I, in the future, produce something that I would actually be proud of? And that was that's the kind of thought that I was having. On top of that, when it comes to the protocol, the now infamous protocol in my mind, I lost my focus. I heard somebody say that focus is kind of like an acronym where it's like following one course until success. And my course shifted a little bit. Broke college student, trying to make some money to, be able to comfortably get my rent done and all the other beginning of the year little bills I gotta pay. And the way that I was gonna do that was by going around and, cleaning people's headlights, for the holidays and whatnot. And my parents didn't necessarily want me to do it the way that I wanted to do it. They wanted me to get a license and insurance and things like that. And I was just I just want to knock on people's doors, be like, hey, just do a nice little service for people. But, all their things were very, very valid. I just didn't feel like doing it. And they ended up not going through because I'll be working on people's cars and you got to deal with insurance and stuff like that and, whatnot, just to protect myself from not, putting myself in a worse situation off, trying to put me in a better situation. Right. But that consumed me for a few days, trying to figure out how I could do it. Right, trying to navigate my parents' little stipulations, trying to okay, how can I get insurance? How quickly can I get insurance? Okay, I can get insurance that starts today. Okay, cool. Right, how much is that going to cost? Okay, if that's what it costs, how much do I have to charge per thing so that I can anticipate paying off the whole year's worth of insurance? Because the shortest that I can have this insurance for is 1 whole year. No need to put myself in the hole trying to start effectively a business. There's no need for me to do that. And how do I get a license? Where do you get a license? How long does license processing take? All of these questions, right? And that's what stole my attention away from my mental health. And along with that, I was thinking about how I could make more YouTube videos. If I could make more videos, how I could post more optimally. What was the best time for me to post? Thinking about everything except the content of the video. Just lost focus. I was proud of the content in the videos. I was proud of, the way that I edited my little push-ups and meditation together. I was proud of all that, but it just wasn't. The focus had shifted. The focus had shifted from when I had decided to do this in the first place. And I think none of the things that I was focusing on were wrong. If I gotta make some money, I'm gonna make some money. Get a little hustle, Start a small business that you can kind of maintain and get some extra money from. Dip your toes in, the entrepreneurial world and understanding the kind of things that you'll need, especially to do is something that's service-based. There's nothing wrong with that. Me trying to make sure that that the things that I'm making, the kind of energy that I'm putting into a video reaches people, and I'm not kind of shooting myself in the foot by, simple mistakes like that. That's not an inherently bad thing. But that's not the course. That's not the course. The course is mental health journey. If this was to take away from my mental health, I should stop it. I should take away unnecessary stress. That's something that's something I talked about in the video beforehand. So my focus changed. I deviated from the course mentally. And then something that I heard a YouTuber called ThoughtX hit me too. And that is like, if a deadly disease is kind of spreading, right? Like in like a movie or something, there's always like a patient zero. And it's like the first person who ever got it, and it's all contagious and it spreads and whatnot. Thought zero, thought X, right? That's the thought that says, maybe I just don't get up and go on a walk today. It's the first little rolling of a snowball. And as soon as that day hit, I was like, I'm kind of sad right now. I feel kind of guilty, feel kind of hopeless. That hopelessness is turning a bit into anxiousness. And if I get up, then that means that I got to think about how I'm gonna clean these headlights and how I'm gonna get this video out and how I'm gonna edit it and what time to do it. The time that I'm gonna post this video is in like 2 hours and I haven't edited it yet and I gotta schedule it and I'm just gonna stay in bed. That's exactly what I did. And that was the thing that got the snowball rolling that puts us at a week and some change since I've made a video. And that's not how I want things to be. In that week and some change, anxiousness started to bubble up. And I have my notes, so I keep looking down. Anxiousness started to bubble up. And I was doing a lot to distract myself from it initially. Mostly scrolling. My Instagram Reels feed is so good sometimes. And one time, as I was kind of coming on the back end of this, I was scrolling and no, I wasn't scrolling. I sat up and I was like, I got to get out of this. I'm going to journal. Right. I had been scrolling and I said, I'm going to start journaling. I sat up in my bed and I started writing just about how I was feeling, about where I was at mentally right now. Well, at that time. And I felt this urge to curl up in a ball, get under my covers, and stop journaling. It was like, I don't want to do this anymore, right? So then I felt that urge, and I was going to just push through it and just keep journaling. Then I stopped and wait a second. In the book that I'm reading, it talks about being intimate with your emotions a little bit better. So I was like, okay, cool. I recognize that feeling. It feels like a literal magnetic pull in like my legs, like closer to my body. Everything wants me to kind of squeeze in this way. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's do it for like 10 minutes, see what happens. Right, put my journal down. I say I'm gonna come back to it, and I'm holding myself to that, like genuinely. And I roll over, curl up in a ball, and I just get under the covers. I sit there for a little bit. And initially, the heart pounding, the kind of tightness of anxiety kind of goes away, and then it comes back. And I'm like, huh. Well, now I feel this compulsion to scroll. So let me do that. And I picked up my phone, I started scrolling, and the feeling didn't go away. But it's like it would slip in and out. Instead of it being incessant and just going all the time, it would be like here, gone, and it would shift with my attention. If I had my attention on whatever I was watching at that time, like whatever reel I was watching, whatever YouTube video I was watching, then that's what I would be on. That is completely what I would be on, and I wouldn't feel the kind of the tightness in my chest and whatever. But if for some reason, they hit a boring part of a video or the reel wasn't all that good, I would feel it. And I took note of all this as it was happening, and I was like, okay, my body is going to send me signals, send me signs that I should do something in the hopes that it would make me feel better. But at the end of the day, those things might not actually make me feel better. A long time ago, well, not a long time ago, maybe like a month and some change ago, I was talking with my friends, and I was talking about the difference between a compulsion and a want. a compulsion feels like a want, but if you give it enough time, it goes away. Like, it goes away in a short period of time relative to a want. Wants are much deeper than that. That was a compulsion, and I recognized it again right then and there. And I recognized it in the context of anxiety. And I took note of that. And then later, I watched a video by Hamza about a dopamine detox and whatnot. Everybody's made a video on a dopamine detox, but basically it's like you kind of cut out those habits that kind of spike your dopamine without taking a lot of work to get them. Like, for example, like eating junk food. And dopamine is a neurotransmitter that governs your reward system. Hopefully you know it. But talked about a dopamine detox. And he said sometimes the bad habits that you do can be used to just kind of mask emotions that you're having that you don't want to feel. And I was like, that's probably true. And one of the things that he said to deal with it is to treat that emotion, that little negative voice, as like, your younger self kind of pulling on your sleeve, trying to get your attention, trying to say, hey, I'm scared, I'm worried, I'm nervous, I'm angry, right? I don't feel safe. Whatever it is that it's saying. And you have to talk to it. You have to give yourself that little childlike component of yourself that's pulling on your shirt. You need to give it the space to feel heard and attend to it. So that's what I did. One day I felt anxious and I told myself, okay, I am scared. I'm scared of how, after my last relationship, like how people are going to perceive me. Like how my ex's friends are going to perceive me. How I'm going to move forward. Like it all kind of scares me. And I said that, and there was like a wave of like relief over me, because as I was saying that, I also told myself that it's okay, because you're going to grow, you're going to develop, you're going to be better, right? And I felt it again as I was kind of walking, because I did do a couple morning walks, a couple meditation sessions. So I wasn't completely just, off everything, right? But I was walking one morning, I saw a pine cone next to a pine tree. And I was like, nobody gets mad at the pine cone for not being the tree. Like, people can, like people can get shade under the tree, birds can get shelter in the tree, right? All of that is true. But if a person or a bird tries to take shelter or find some kind of safety or ask really anything of the pine cone, they're just going to get poked because it's not ready yet. And I thought about that and I was like, okay, my only responsibility as this quote unquote pine cone in this situation would be to grow. Put myself in a situation to grow and get the most out of that. You can't get the only thing that you can get mad at is if a pine cone misrepresents itself as a tree. And that is something that I did. But I can't get mad at myself for being a tree, for not being a tree. I have growing to do. It shouldn't be scary. Like, it can be scary, but I can't be held back or debilitated by the fear that I'm not where I need to be right now. Like, I'm a pine cone. The pine cone isn't scared that it's not a tree yet. But as people, I think that we can be scared of our incompetencies or perceived inadequacies, not being somewhere that we have no business being at yet. Like, not instantly being good at something, not instantly being, I guess, worthy of people's appreciation purely for what we did. Everybody can appreciate you for you, but thank you for making the mac and cheese at Christmas dinner. Thank you. I appreciate you for that. I don't appreciate it though because it was nasty. Like that. Like that's the kind of situation. That's the kind of situation that I was thinking about. And people can really get bogged down not being perfect out the gate. And that's where that pressure to misrepresent yourself can kind of come from. And those are all things that I was thinking about. And I've been sitting with those feelings, and that's what's prompted me to make this video, just kind of detailing where I've been at. I've been thinking about all of these things, really trying to engage with the anxiety, the kind of sadness, the just emotions of just sitting there. And I feel like I've learned some valuable things from it. Because I know that the compulsions that I feel aren't going to make me feel better a lot of the time. And I know that I can't get mad for being a pine cone. Yeah. So I say all that to say that after thinking and feeling all of this is just a part of the journey. Like, I'm not always going to be able to make a video. I'm not. There are going to be some times where I just can't. I feel like I don't have anything to say. If I do have something to say, I'm not going to be able to write it out in some kind of way that makes any kind of sense. And because it doesn't make any kind of sense, like, I'm not going to want to actually post it. Like, there's so many things can go into me not wanting to make a video, not wanting to meditate, even if it's just thought X that I give into, right? But this is part of the journey. And when those things happen, as long as I stay connected to it, stay present with it, stay engaged, stay aware, then I can continue to move forward and come back with knowledge and a little bit of experience instead of just starting again at day zero. There are no day zeros. My day zero was, I guess, 2 weeks ago when I started to do this. Like, this isn't a day zero. I didn't give up. You know, when I go back and I make like videos about my challenges and whatnot, like, I'm not starting them over. I'd rather just not hit the goal at day 30 because there are no day zeros. Because I have experience now. And that's one of the things that's important. I'm back. I'm alive. Let's keep doing this. Let's keep learning. I'm going to catch y'all later.